um, with their experience at the theater or watching movies at home. A lot of fires are lit that way when a lot of these filmmakers and actors are children, and I think that's kind of cool how that spark can be lit at such an early age, and yeah, it's just
I
pretty dope.
think that movies and music, they teach you that there or some sort of a different alternate reality, without actually being there. So it's kind of something that is intangible, but it's something that hits you in such a place that you can't really touch it, but you can feel it deeply. And I think that what we're doing here in Film 3 is that we are trying to, innovate, to get to push those boundaries that have been kind of like constructed for us, to blow those just out of the water. And I think that that's what Granted Wishes is really trying to do, right along with everybody else. We have Marty here with Echo Core, and you Starseed, with the virtual reality, making like film festivals and making things accessible without actually being present, which is amazing because that really takes the boundaries out of it. And so that's what I think it's about. And I'm just really happy for you and everybody in this space that we are demolishing boundaries. It's limitless. So let's keep going.
Right.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And I always like to say that I kind of fell into the industry, um, which is, my story is kind of, it's different because where I grew up and where I lived, I had no access to real filmmaking or just opportunities. And then when I moved to New York, right, acting became something I did to supplement my income working at my startup. And as I was acting with and became, part of the industry and, connected with a lot of friends, I started to realize they didn't really grasp and understand the business side of the industry. And being a creative, right, you kind of have to know both. And so I started being really fascinated just because, my business acumen and coming from a sales and business and startup world, I started to really dive into the business side of the industry because I was like, well, they call it showbiz and the, entertainment industry for, a reason, because it has a business component to it. And so that's how I fell into producing and learning how to produce, was because I wanted to learn and understand the how business was run, how films make money, right? Like they wouldn't be, keep making these films if it wasn't a profitable business and things like that. So I think it's amazing when you can marry the passion and this, the skill of acting and just being a creator with, the business act, the business side and the savviness of how to navigate the industry. And so uh that's why I gravitate to producing more, because it just it comes naturally from being and getting my experience from a startup, is how to organize, how to navigate, how to lead, how to scale, how to grow, right? And those are all kind of components you need, right, to be able to, build a sustainable film business, let alone a Web3 or Film 3 kind of DApp or organization or platform in and of itself.
Well, we're all here and we're learning from each other, right? Granting Wishes. And the one of the catalysts for this platform that Geno made, Starseed and Tonya, is that Geno is an accomplished musician, but he also has aspirations to be a filmmaker. So what are your thoughts as far as being a producer? What kind of knowledge or jewels can you drop for people who are thinking about being filmmakers and actually the business aspect of how to actually be successful? Marty dropped several gems about the industry on several different spaces, and I just learned a tremendous amount from him. So what is it that you can impart for people who are, I want to pick up the camera and make a film? What would you tell them as far as the business aspect of it?
Yeah, I would definitely say one, like yourself, just go out and do it and get some friends, but just learn the basics, right? Like I did a SAG production with no help, no experience, and just kind of navigated it from reading um, and just learning blogs, things like that. But definitely lean on each other, right? I was able to amass kind of a network of filmmakers and friends in New York and here as I was coming up and learning, and really just said, hey, let me help you with your project, right? I'm producing and things like that. I want to be a producer. And they were like, okay, cool. I need a producer, right? And they're an established director or more senior director who would produce stuff, but needed someone to help organize and do everything. And then said, hey, I want to make it SAG. So you navigate by just doing, right? I kind of I did it. I connected with, look to my left, look to my right, I said, who do I know that can either shed some light on this area of the business, whether it be producing, filling out, time cards, G sheets, things like that, and getting help that way. Or just, learning the directing side of how to, fill key department heads and things like that. So, uh, you know, I would say don't try and master everything at once. Take it step by step, and as you continue on in the industry in the space, you'll learn more each project that you do.
Awesome.
That's
And
right.
touched a little bit on SAG. So, for people who may not know that, that's the Screen Actors Guild. And a lot of the times you can't really work with people who are names if you don't have a SAG production, is what he was really going for. And so, me, who's kind of more like I would say a rebel kind of filmmaker, I have managed to work with SAG actors and kind of figure it out here in the Midwest. But Geno, just so you know, like you're in Atlanta, so I'm sure you see people who have more of a notable resume, and so that's just something just to think about, But it's not necessarily a requirement. You can make a bomb or a lit ass movie without people who people necessarily recognize, but it's just something to think about.
Before we go any further, I'd like to say what's up to Tonya. She
Hi,
just came
Tonya.
into the room.
Where you been, girlfriend? Feel like we've been missing each other.
Oh my God. I feel like I think I caught COVID, but I'm not sure. Now I have to go get tested. But I'm fine now. I'm like, it
Oh
took me
God.
4 days. I threw the kitchen sink to my sickness. But I'm good now. I mean, like good as can be. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry about the little delay. I had to like get my streaming studio going over here and published. But I'm on your website, Granting Wishes Studio. I think we follow each other, and I really appreciate this. And actually, I was looking at some of your Q&A, and I wasn't sure if you guys have gone through that or not. But I'll be here. I'm looking at some stuff. I'm gonna start distributing your content so that when we write a blog about it, I can embed that information into it. So I'm here. It's great seeing you guys.
Awesome. Glad you're here.
So earlier on in the year, you did something pretty epic, my man, and pulled it off, and it was something to be admired. You did the virtual film festival, or not, the in the Metaverse, correct?
Yep. We did the Genesis Film Festival. And that was no feat of its own without the team like Petra and some other folks that were involved. But yeah, that was amazing to come together, where the community kind of rallied behind, and it was really dope, which created a real proof of concept for our cinema, which was really the original kind of vision and the goal of the cinema. that we wanted. And so that was kind of like a testing grounds for what's to come with the cinema. And it was just really dope to see, an experience, right? All the filmmakers under one roof, watching, content, much like a true film festival in that nature. And it was really fun to put together, and fun to see kind of it just be executed and folks show up.
So, did you have to wear an Oculus, or was it something you could access on your cell phone?
Yeah, so it was kind of web XR, which is kind of, for those who don't know, is like external reality through the like the web browser or mobile device, and that's one of the reasons why we built in crypto voxels, or I decided to put a theater in crypto voxels, was because it works on all devices: mobile, iPads, laptops, computers, and because it's a web-based kind of virtual reality game per se. And so you didn't need a VR headset, and I wanted it that way because I didn't want people to have to be left out if they didn't have a VR headset. And because VR headsets, they're gaining popularity, they're just not as ubiquitous as like a phone or a mobile device, right? The average person has about 5 devices. So, choosing a platform for me that could extend into and to where anyone is at, I think was truly important, just for that, first proof of concept and trial run.
That's awesome, man.
I like that, because I don't have one yet. You got a lot of stuff going on. You're a filmmaker. Sometimes you're not focused on virtual reality, and you're just trying to get good glass and all kind of stuff like that. And sometimes people don't have those right now. So that's a good look. Marty, do you feel like speaking and blessing us with some gems today?
Marty is such a giant. We are so fucking blessed to have that guy in here, man. What's going on, Marty?
Hey, Marty.
I don't know if you guys got a chance to meet or chop it up, but
Yeah, no,
Marty,
I'm glad to be here. I have a particular interest in what venues are being created in Web3 for exhibiting content and monetizing content. So I'm very interested in what Starseed is doing and granting. The horrible reality was that because of my lack of experience with crypto and all that stuff, I spent 3 or 4 days trying to get a ticket to go to that Genesis Film Festival, and I had cheap crypto. I had people helping me, but I never got it to work. I mean, I had the crypto, but I don't know, something was up with the interface. Had a lot of people helping me, so it was a measure of my stupidity and need to.
I don't think so. I think what it was is because you had like Matic, and it was before they had grandfathered it in, or some kind of like something that they did with Matic. You guys know that Matic wasn't Matic. It was like they had changed it, and I think he did it earlier on, so it was like in a different like wallet. It was something like that, but
Yes,
I'm sure we could have figured it out. But it was, I think, one of those things where you had to be visually connected in order to kind of mash it out.
I get
So that was probably the thing.
probably, but irrespective of that, that's where I get excited. Because I think that from my point of view, and I don't want to be negative about it, but working the crypto NFTs system as a crowdfunding mechanism to be able to, get to a film festival, to get to movie theaters, TV venues, streaming services, and all the rest of that is a wonderful thing to do. I think that's great, but I think that the desire for creative controls and controlling marketing and distribution and all that stuff is really in the hands of the gatekeepers, not the financiers. Sometimes the financier and the gatekeeper are the same, but we have to figure out a way to create thriving alternate distribution mechanisms that can, compete in terms of their monetization ability. And I think that's a very important thing to look forward to in Web3. I think it's critical.
I think so too. And that was primarily one of our main goals with the cinema, was to create a viable form of distribution. A lot of filmmakers are, turning to Web3 and NFTs to raise and leverage NFTs to fund their films. And so what's happening is we're seeing people coming to Web3 and blockchain to raise funds for their film, but then going to Web2 distribution or using Web2 tooling, and so it becomes cumbersome to track, manage, and just facilitate the production, the distribution, and things like that. So what we wanted to do was create a viable form of distribution and a channel that was able to put the filmmakers first, have a royalty recoupment model that's tied into the on-chain ticket sales and things of that nature, but a way for folks to actually have theoretical, quote unquote, distribution channel, whether it be on-chain or in the metaverse or something of that nature, whereas it could then still go to, let's say, a streaming platform, whether that's Web2 or Web3 or anything like that, but could still live on after that. And the cinema was really just that first avenue where you could do things like reward your community of holders, right? Sell tickets or anything, similar like that.
Okay, basically, you guys going to be focusing on the royalty aspect. Kind of really intrigues me a little bit. Marty, what were you going to say?
No, I think that there's there's a situation where it's still there still seems to be the need to, which I understand. Again, I'm not saying, I don't, it's not like I say, no, we have to do this instead of that, but this notion of bridging, the Web3 eventually to the Web2. I mean, the end of the game, and this was something you were, and I love when people were talking the way you were at the beginning of the conversation, in terms of being an entrepreneur and a business person and so forth. I mean, the secret that a lot more people knew eventually was that Scholastic was a for-profit company. It had stock. It was trading. I had to run a division and make money. I couldn't, just sort of go out and get brownie points. So I think that a fundamental part of being in the movie industry is making more money than you spend. Period, at the end, and having it be something that there's a much more significant participation on the part of the creators and the people who were there right from the beginning, as opposed to the way it's set up now. And I think that the driver for a platform, to become successful, if I go back to HBO even more, or basic cable Discovery, or any of these channels, was the ability to have a hit, a hit on that channel, so that when people heard about and got excited about this project, and it was getting written about, they had to go to the platform where it was. So if I'm reading something, and I think the most exciting thing that is possible to ever see is the idea that my home is going to be a makeover with somebody, which is the heart of Discovery, or something. Children weren't watching Nickelodeon, until Rugrats. So what is that project that is going to be the driver to build and bring audiences into Web3 to consume it? What is that project going to be? And that it's the only place you can see it, or it's at least the only place you could see the first iteration of it. That becomes, to me, what has to be, the real engine that will change things. But if we don't have control of distribution and monetization, those are still very difficult and bad people to have to negotiate with.
Did you mention Scholastic Publishing?
Yes.
Did you work for them?
He's like, he is them pretty much.
No.
William Bonamos?
No, I went there in 1978 and started Scholastic Productions. So I built the most.
I was married to William Kahnemo's son, Christopher Kahnemo's, who founded Great American Book Fair, that was bought by Scholastic Publishing.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like, oh my God, you spoke to him. I'm like,
yeah, no. And the book fairs, became enormously successful. And the interesting thing about the book fairs and the book clubs, as an example of what I'm talking about, was that we started in the early 1980s, even really early, to start to make children's video cassette programming available, animated stories, children's programming, what have you, to be purchased on the book clubs. And then eventually they were available, at the book fairs. But the point was that the lack of availability of quality children's programming, at least in the United States of America, because all there was Saturday morning cartoons, and Hanna-Barbera dominated that whole era. But there wasn't any quality children's programming anywhere. I mean, eventually there was Sesame Street on PBS, and obviously eventually there was Magic School Bus. But the VHS and Betamax programs that were children's programs distributed in the Scholastic book clubs and at the book fairs was the first, quasi children's network that was an alternative to the only place you could watch children's programming, which was Saturday morning. I mean, there was no Fox Children's Network, there was no Nickelodeon, there was nothing. And that became a big business for us at Scholastic, and was ultimately the cash cow that gave me the ability to start looking at, being in the motion picture and television business. And that was a good time to be in it, because we could control the rights, the underlying rights. So there's obviously the publishing and even the merchandising and licensing rights, so it wasn't giving Goosebumps merchandising and licensing rights away, or Babysitter's Club or Magic School Bus. They all stayed. Now, you make a deal with Nickelodeon or any of these, Disney or anybody, and you're giving them everybody, including your eldest child. So
We need to catch up. I can't believe you work for my ex-husband. They cut there. Were you in Longwood, Florida, Central Florida?
no. I never worked with him. No, I was the president of the motion picture and television studio that we built at Scholastic Inc. So I operated out of New York, and it was a television and movie studio. We did Indian in the Cupboard. We did a Babysitters Club feature film. We created original Babysitters Club videos that were first on VHS, but then they eventually wound up on the Disney Channel and even on HBO. So the book clubs ultimately came under the control of a woman by the name of Barbara Marcus, who ran Scholastic Publishing.
Yeah.
And
Actually, I spoke to her years ago.
what's that?
I spoke to her years because I was married to the youngest son, Christopher Conamos.
Right.
I was 16 years old. We were a high school sweetheart. They weren't too happy, but we only married for a year. But I'm just telling you, I'm in my mid-50s now. But it just to hear Scholastic Publishing coming out, just mentioning Scholastic, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, it's another lifetime.
Anyway, I want this to be,
This is
granting wishes show. So,
I'm gonna do a tape
this
with
is
you. I'm
it,
sorry.
because that's I had my moment, So, so I
if
really want. I'm really excited about, what he's doing. I love that this whole thing is being quote co-broadcast on Beam.
yeah, it's
This
amazing.
this is the future from my
It
point of
is.
view.
It really is.
Thank you,
And I
Jordan.
see that Vivid Labs is down there. Did you guys want to talk at all? Because I've seen you guys on
Hold on,
numerous spaces, but I've never ever had a chance to really wrap my head around what you guys are doing. So,
hold on for a second, She Crypto. I want to see it. Is Granting Wishes back? I know he rugged out.
oh yeah, he's there.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
there.
here.
Okay. All right.
I was just gonna say Marty is spot on, and I think the space is definitely, honored to have you with someone with so much tenure in the industry, in the space, and I think that is exactly what what's needed. And one of the things you said that really stuck out and what I really liked is how to bridge web, the traditional to the current. And that's uh, really how I approach what we're building, right? And especially the new platform that we're building, and being able to marry the best of Web 2 and Web 3 with the tooling that can solve a lot of the pain points in the industry, right? Between the financiers, right? As well as the royalty recoupment and things like that. And so there's a lot of platforms out there that, are focusing on finance, decentralized picture, film first flight, a bunch of platforms. And so, I didn't really want to be one of those or try and compete and find market share there. Instead, just being a connector, right, and taking what's already existing, which is producers, filmmakers, and content, and exhibitors, distributors, and sales agents, and bridging the gap by allowing royalties to be tracked, managed, and allowing you to manage your rights, allow you to expand your cinematic universe through the community and shared IP storytelling. Whether it be through proof of stake licensing or joint writers room, things like that. And so, really creating a platform that allows you visibility and transparency, because I feel like that is what the tech is best used for, right? I've been a part of a startup that started with 4 or 5 people of us, now over 150 Series D, 150 million raised, and watching, right, from inside go from, you know, V1 of the product to scaling and building out different products and being able to change and adapt to the market, I think is the most important. And so that's really what you can expect from us, along with, you know, offering, you know, distribution to the folks that want it. But we're working on an MVP of a platform that should be ready to launch within the next month or so. But really to supercharge IP and take it to the next level, because a lot of folks, a lot of communities, a lot of DAOs, organizations, whatever, have content, have IP that can be taken to the next level. And so I think with Web3, you can really exacerbate that and scale it to build a brand and a recognition that is as strong as, you know, Scholastics or Disney or Marvel and things like that. And so really becoming that hub where folks can gather and just take it to the next level is what I'm most excited about.
We're
Amazing.
certainly taking it to the next level, granting wishes. What I like to ask all of our guests around this time, bro, is like, I want you to tell me in about 10 years, I want you to put your law down right now. I want you to tell everybody what you were going to do and where do you see yourself in 10 years and how are you going to be one of the top platforms within this space? Because you're already a pioneer, you're already doing that. And I like to take this time for everybody just to speak it into fruition and let everybody know basically how strong you are as a company and what your vision is for the next decade.
Oh, I mean, for sure, because that's pretty much already written. But so granting wishes, there's going to be some changes coming. I guess I can briefly touch on those, as that will kind of set up this next, you know, decade of what's to come. But granting wishes will stand as a Web3 kind of production studio that leverages IP, gaming, and just anything like that to tell stories and create story worlds collaboratively. The platform we're creating, which will, I won't say the name yet, but in 10 years, it will be probably and most definitely the number one platform to track and manage rights, royalty, and your productions, to effortlessly pay out your cast and crew in crypto or fiat of your choice, and be used in productions globally without any restrictions or friction in the process of onboarding, scaling, paying out, from pre-production all the way to post.
And there it is. I gotta give it up for that. That's awesome, my man. And I definitely see you pulling that off. You know, no problem.
Appreciate that. Yeah, and like I said, we're super excited. We're building out our first product offering, which is a proof of stake licensing DApp, which pretty much allows you to expand and, like I said, supercharge IP by offering, you know, licenses to create and further expand a cinematic universe that extends far into other forms and other mediums, um, allowing brand holders and brand IPs to become these mega houses and household names. So we're super excited with that. We're going to be doing a closed beta with some very well known kind of collections and stories, but you know, we're also looking for more to that are open and want to adapt this mindset of um, truly decentralized IP and not just offering, your traditional CCO license or anything like that, but allowing the community to greenlight themselves, as well as create, more opportunities to expand the story world, because I think that's important. And I think a lot of projects, right, from especially in this PFP craze, leave a lot on the table. Me being a storyteller, you can look at some of these early PFPs, and the first thing I saw is that I created stories naturally. I was just like, oh, this character would have an amazing story. Like they could create a dope, film or novel or narrative podcast or something centered around, right, these characters. And a lot of people really just focused on just minting out 10,000 of them and then saying they were going to create a game and then never created it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. There's a lot of room for expansion and growth. And I think sometimes it's really chokeholded by, the folks who come up with it. They come up with great artwork, great characters, right? But you let someone in that medium tell the story that you started. And I think that's when I think things start to really get fun, because now you start to reimagine just two-dimensional characters, right? And what they would look like in in audio form, or on the screen in a film and things like that.
That's what's up. I wanted to also ask you, as far as NFT film, in the future, do you see NFT film like actual full length movies being able to be purchased as an NFT? Because right now, you know, it's more short stories because the storage isn't big enough to house a whole movie. So we're not technically there yet. But give me your opinion on where you think the industry is going to go as far as NFT film if once the technology um, improves.
I think a lot of the capabilities are there. Um, they're just either not known or not, on the forefront, right? But capability is really there. I think the short answer is yes and no, right? I think we over here on our team, we kind of envision films, right? The components of the film being NFTs, right? Everything from anything related to the scene itself, right? Movie shots just kind of did a fine example of, how to create a film as an NFT, right? On every shot, which I thought was really dope and unique. So I think the short answer, yes, because right, just like anything else, the space problem will be solved, right? Um, Platforms that are coming out, even Vivid down there, they offer 32 gigs, right, in their NFTs. So it's not. I think it's just it's inevitable. Um, will they be NFTs? I think probably yes, right? There'll be a file. Um, and maybe there'll be certain parts of it of the metadata will be updatable, right? Where you can purchase them and get bonus tracks from the prequels and sequels and trilogies and things of that nature. There's so many opportunities. I just think we're so early, and a lot of people are blindsided by like the technical limitations, that I think we'll look back in 3 years and be like, we OpenSea only gave us 100 megs. It's crazy. But yeah, I think wholeheartedly there'll be either NFTs, access to the films, or a combination of both.
I also agree. We were talking with the we had we had him as on here as a guest, actually, the film archivist for Francis Scott Francis Coppola, and they were coming out with I think it was the anniversary version of The Godfather, and we were talking about how many um, things they could do with NFTs as far as special content. Um, like in the future, I don't know. I see like um, special productions or collectors items of films being sold as NFTs, and kind of priced higher. So say a movie comes out, but you can also buy like the collector's NFT version. There might be like only a 200,000 available, and it might be a little bit expensive, but hey, you own that. That's what I kind of see. But like you said, sky's the limit, man. I just see the whole entertainment business and a whole being revolutionized. So what a time to be alive. We got about we got about 10 minutes left in the interview. And so what I like to do at this time is kind of open up the floor for more dialogue and discussion. So I see Black Alchemy, he had his hand up.
Yes, thank you for having me, Starcy. I appreciate the opportunity. I just wanted to chip in on the last conversation about the capabilities of NFTs in the film space and where it's going to go. To the other speaker's point, this is just this is a beginning. There's so many innovations that are taking place right now in the industry that what is being broken into right now is only just the seed, no pun intended, but it's just the seed. There's a few films out right now that are doing fractionalization of IP distribution. And, I think that, we're in a wonderful time, like you said, to be alive, to be in this space, and also to be creating content or creating ideas that will fuse into what is going to be the mainstay of this industry. I mean, personally, I run a security company, or more of an intelligence and advisory consulting firm. And the amount of people that, from the traditional days of, 2005, 2010, 2015, that are moving into this space, and they're bringing their disciplines with it and their problems, obviously, if they're calling us, it's breathtaking. So just stay tuned. Stay tuned. I don't know if you've seen Kaladita, I believe that's the name. They are producing something right now that is probably, I would say, one of the most mature in the space as far as getting it out there. But yeah, that's all I wanted to express. And thank you for the space. This is very informative, by the way.
Yeah, we had Caladita. He was they were on our show. I think it might have been either the fourth or fifth episode for a virtual film festival. But yeah, definitely doing it real big. And thanks for chiming in. Anybody else got any questions for Granting Wishes? Want to say anything? All
So
right.
would there be like actual in real life merch or anything like that for any of your projects?
We envision that, right? I think, if you take the top 25 like media franchises, their number one revenue generation is merchandise, like hands down. And even the film centric ones, which obviously Marvel falls within that, right? Harry Potter, but some of them still make more. They make majority of the IP, the brand's IP comes from merchandising. So um I what we want to, and what something we're working on with the kind of traditional retailers and things of that nature, is how to tokenize, or more or less track, right, and offer NFTs with physical products, right? Because that is, people are still physical. We're not living in the metaverse yet, and doubt we'll ever get there, right? But people still want to wear their stuff. Their fans want to showcase their friends in real life their support, and they're gonna buy brand loyalty stuff. They're gonna buy branded IP. They're going to continue to do that, whether it be toys, clothes, hats, whatever, mugs. People will still continue to buy, and I think um, the real utility comes from it being both tied to in real life and digital, and what that looks like. I think there's definitely room for exploration there.
What do you thought about the posters? Because I have a girlfriend, I live in South Florida. So down here, the designers, a lot of the houses, they love these big posters of the movies that came out and stuff. And I was just, the more I thought about it, I'm like thinking, hey, Web3, right? So would there be an opportunity for people to like even print the poster and then be able to have it hung on their wall in real life?
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's if you take it a step further, if you want to go immersive, right? Um, you have the option to print or display the interactive poster, right? And it's a poster that can interact, right? Think of the Marvel team assembling, right? And it's a 3-second GIF of, right? And that's the NFT, but that's the poster. And there's a static one you can print, and then there's an interactive one, or one you can scan with your phone and then watch it interact on your phone, right? So when people pass, they can interact with it, right? And that's really kind of where we're going, right? The AR, right? NFTs as AR and things of that nature um, is kind of the next evolution, right? Um, if you think of if we're looking at like play to earn games on the Pokemon level, right? Look at Pokemon Go, right? They made a bunch of their money from AR and ads and things like that nature. So I think we can, start to explore that and see what that looks like, both from a fan base and a brand and IP level.
Absolutely.
That
Were you just gonna say something, Tonya?
No, I say I love that. I love your answer. I think I see so many, as a marketer, and I've been doing this forever, it seems that way, but I look at every different avenue what people would want and really value is put on the person who deem it valuable, right? So but if you were to do something in Web3, but be able to bring it in real life. And that's where I love when I hear people talk about utilities and all the different things. But I just hearing you talk about your project, researching your company. I actually have been dissecting your website while you guys are talking. And I'm loving what you're answering. And that and then it dawned on me, like I still have posters that I purchased, knowing one day I'm gonna hang it somewhere, but I have it in my garage, and then it just when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, I should ask Bob because I don't think that this is the first question I've ever thought of, which I should have because I collect movie posters, and it didn't even dawn on me to ask any of the other movie maker, anyone that we had on the show, to this question until like you were talking, and I just wanted to know what your thought on the movie poster, because that is a huge collectible, and that is a lot of money too. A lot of people pay you a lot of money for that.
Yeah, I mean, most of films budgets go to P&A, so print and advertising, which is printing posters and marketing those posters and things of that nature. So if they can go digital for a component, right, and have a collectible, right, you could recoup some proceeds that way too. So I think it's exciting, and there's definitely a big avenue for it as well.
That's what's up.
You what's coming with AR, you're going to be able to put those posters up on the side of brick and mortar without having to deliver a display device for $5,000. It'll be right there in their phone and in their glasses. So
Yeah, marketing has the most upside to AR, and I just think it's completely untapped and unrealized. And even at this day and age, if you promote something that you can say scan with your phone and watch it come to life, people would go just to do that. right? And that was the kind of the marketing gimmick of Pokemon Go, whereas, you know, they partnered with brands to say, hey, come catch this, you know, Pikachu here at the restaurant and get 5% off, right? And I think, you know, technology is just becoming more, you know, ubiquitous, and we're having it in our hands, and it's an extension of us. So, I mean, the next evolution is the digital overlay of our existence, our existing realities.
Exactly. So granting wishes, man, the future for you is so bright, and I just want you to know that you definitely have a huge supporter over this way. You know, everybody that we bring on to a virtual film festival, we support wholeheartedly. I'm proud of what you're doing, and I want to see you rise to the top. And what I like to do around this time I do this every virtual film festival is give away the golden movie ticket, and it's my pleasure to give you the golden movie ticket and add you into the Starseed Hall of Fame. Um, the future is so bright for you, bro. I'm so proud of you, and I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Hey, no doubt, anytime. And you know, once we get some things ironed out, let's get that joint film festival up and running, and
No doubt.
we
Let's
can
do
make it
that.
happen.
Let's definitely do that. Shout out to Marty. Thank you for coming and dropping more jewels within our space today. We definitely appreciate that. Thanks to my co-host She Crypto. Thanks to my other co-host Tonya Scholes. Appreciate all y'all. And come back next Wednesday at 12 p.m. or 8 p.m. depending on whatever the preference is for our guests for the next virtual film festival. But yeah, today was a great one, guys. I appreciate all of y'all. See y'all next week.
Appreciate you having me.